happening, niche website builders? Back
You
for
right?
another edition.
Yep.
How you
Sunny
doing?
Thursday. Good. My mind is frazzled from seeing Darren Brown last night.
That's what you're going to do. Yeah, you were going to talk about Darren Brown today.
Oh,
You're
mate,
still here though. That's good. So he didn't make you disappear, which was one of the concerns.
There's so much to talk about. But yeah, I don't want to say anything. He basically said don't tell anybody about the show because he's doing like a tour of 250 people. Now, I know like most of our audience are in the US, but I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to spoil it for anyone anyway, just in case, you know. Yeah. But it's really good. It was really, really good.
Okay. Cool. Well,
leave it in suspense.
I know. Well, I think it's probably right. I think you might get in trouble, mightn't you, if you reveal the whole show? So
yeah.
But yeah, you enjoyed it though. That's the main thing.
Yeah, I went with my dad as well, which is nice. I don't really get to spend a lot of time with my dad, so it was nice to go with him and spend a couple of hours with him. And yeah, that was pretty nice as well.
Yeah. Well, it's sunny now, but it was snowing this morning here, and then I had hail. So
I'm trying to stay out of the sun. I'm like, like,
I know I've got the same. Oh, it's gone now. Yeah, I had the same just a minute ago. It's behind a cloud now. But yeah, cool. So welcome again, everybody. Thanks for joining us again. 24 people already in the stream, so it's definitely picking up and seeing lots and lots of the same people in the chat. So welcome back. Thanks for joining us again. We've got Carly in there. We've got Scott, Hassan, Nirvana. Brian's back after his merch win on Tuesday. Adrian, Bill, Eleanor. So yeah, welcome back, everybody.
What about this question mark?
Yes, it will, and do so. Yeah, so there's two actually you can add. You can add one on Tuesday at the same time, which is H Domain Tuesdays. So we talk about generally topics on H domains, and we share strategies, but also some H domains that we particularly have available in our inventory. But also we would welcome people bringing their domains to that for us to kind of do a bit of due diligence live on the stream. So that's on Tuesdays at the same time, whatever time zone you're in. I'm not going to give you a time. Same time as now on a Tuesday. And then on a Wednesday, we're an hour earlier for the Niche Lifestyle Show, which is shared with Alex from WP Eagle and from Doug Cunnington and us. But we rotate the show on each channel. So it's the same show. It's called the Niche Lifestyle Show. This week it was on Alex's channel, WP Eagle. Next week it's on Doug's, and the week after it'll be on our channel. So that's an hour before now, wherever you are in the world, on a Wednesday. What was I going to say about that? Yeah, that's that. I can't remember what I was going to say about that. But yes, on a Wednesday.
Tim, we've only just started, mate, and you're already keen for some merch prize. I think already keen for the prizes. We've got to get 25 likes first before we do the prize giveaway. So
yeah, and it is 1.9 on the dial, Carly. Has been going up. I think we started 3 weeks ago, and I think it started at like 1.7. So it is definitely on the way up. Whoops. Okay. Damn straight. It's just here for the merch. Okay, so yeah, so today this is Buy versus Build part 2. So last week we spoke about flipping and buying and flipping essentially. So Adam and I we have our own website portfolios, if you're not already aware, and we have we have very different strategies. We have very similar strategies in the terms I think we go about building our sites and growing our sites, but we have very different strategies in the way we start off. So Adam quite often starts off with a site that he buys and then grows it and then flips it, and ranges from very short-term flips to longer-term holds and flips. But generally there's a flip along the road somewhere. And whereas I've always built a site from scratch, I have bought sites, but then I've merged them into an existing site. I've never bought a site, grown it, and flipped it. Have you? I think you're the opposite. You've never built a site from scratch, right?
Well, yeah, I built loads last year on H domains.
Oh, you did? Of course you did. Yeah. Oh yeah. Prior to last year,
I hadn't really done a ton of building. But yeah.
That's true. Yeah, you started a bunch from scratch. So yeah, we just wanted to talk about the kind of the differences kind of in those models. Like, is there a preferable route, a better route? And so we did flipping last week. We're doing building this week. So I'm going to talk about some sites that I built from scratch and kind of looking at how those have performed. And next week it's going to be part 3, where we're just going to go over the relative merits and when you might want to choose to buy versus build, and just talk about the pros and cons a little bit more. So it's a 3-part series, with part 2 being today.
You're way more organized this week, by the way. I feel like last week my buy argument was just spewing out of my brain, but you've prepared a lovely kind of presentation for it this week. I feel like you should have gone first, and I would have known what you were doing then.
It set the standard.
Yeah,
well, I mean, still not. We still, because it's only an hour, we still don't get the chance to go very deep on it. It's like, I wouldn't say it's a particularly deep presentation on how things have gone, but yeah, it's a presentation nonetheless. I keep touching my eye. I've got this little cut on the corner of my eye. I don't know if it was one of my children's sharp nails or something, but I realize I keep touching it. It's itchy. So apologies if that gets annoying. It's going to get annoying now. Everyone's going to notice it probably. But anyway,
I'll just do a quick Darren Brown trick and make it disappear.
Yeah. I was going to start. You told me a bit about the show earlier, and I was going to reveal a bit which is connected to that, but I'm not going to go there because we get in trouble with Darren Brown's lawyers. So, okay, so don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh, we're already at 25 likes.
Oh, we have to change that graphic now. We can't be at 25 next week.
No, we're going to have to up the game. Can't do 25 anymore now. That's a record. 25 likes. We will do a spin the wheel for merch later, so stay until the end to win t-shirt, a cap, or a mug. We'll have plenty of winners. We'll be getting those that merch off in the post pretty shortly. We haven't sent any off yet, so apologies, but we will be very soon, and we'll be sending some to Adam and myself to show off in the show as well. Cool. So I guess onto the show. Anything to add before we get going?
No, I've got some questions as we go, or at the end. I don't know if you just want to go through your stuff first and give you examples and case studies, and then I'll save some questions for the end. Then I think. Oh, and by the way, if anybody else has questions as we go through, just pop them in the chat, and then we'll come back to them afterwards and we'll answer them all. Or if they're relevant at the time, I'll try and get them on screen if we see them. But if not, we'll answer them at the end.
Sure, and we had some ahead of the show as well. You can, if you're on our mailing list, or if you signed up to either our Facebook groups, Niche Website Builders, Niche Website Flippers, we also put out a form so you can kind of ask some questions ahead of the show, get them booked in, because we'll always answer the ones that are asked ahead of time. So with that said, let's get started. Okay, buy versus build, part 2. Is building sites profitable? Okay, so I'm just going to talk about a couple of different case studies here. So one is the OG Niche Website Builders case study. And when I say the OG case study, if you've been around long enough following Niche Website Builders, you'll know that the Niche Website Builders website originally started out a blog that I started about a year before we started the business. So a year before I even knew Adam, or 10, 11 months before I knew Adam. And on that blog, I was just documenting going from zero to wherever to show how to monetize a niche site. This was back in 2018. Although I've been doing SEO for about 15 years, it was actually at the time starting that one off was quite new for me in the niche website investing space. So that's the original case study. I've never ever finished off the case study because as we grew the Niche Website Builders business, that kind of fell away, me writing monthly blogs for that. And there have been people that have asked like what happened to that. So this is the reveal for those people that have been waiting for what happened to that site. Plus a more recent example. So I'll give an example of a site that I've been working on more recently. So the difference here is that on the OG case study, much of the work was carried out myself. I did outsource some of the work, as you'll see, but I did carry out do a lot of the writing and the link building myself. And the second case study is fully outsourced. And also The first case study was built on a fresh domain from scratch, hand registered myself. The second was built on an H domain. So got a bit of differences there to look at. So case study 1, the OG case study, launched in October 2018. The big reveal is I sold it in June 2021. I guess what I'd say about this case study in particular is there's nothing special about this site. There's nothing outstanding about the results. There's nothing like crazy about like how certain aspects of it did. This is just me building a site, neglecting it at times, working on it at times, not working on it other times. This is kind of like, exactly how I guess it goes for a lot of people where life gets in the way sometimes and you don't get the chance to kind of work on stuff as much as you'd like. But I guess this is a pretty real, this is a really good example for someone who's just new, starting out building sites, gives them kind of a very real kind of feel for like what they can expect, when building a site whilst trying to run a job or have a family or anything like that. So I think that's this is a good example for just what a typical kind of run-of-the-mill thing website might look like. So for this case study, about approximately 50% of the content was written myself, and the rest was outsourced. I also did some shotgun skyscraper link building, which was all carried out myself as well. Over time, I built about 100 links using shotgun skyscraper link building. I did spend about $300-ish, which I didn't put into a calculation at the end, but I'll add that in. But $300-ish I spent on guest post placement. So if you've done any link building before, you'll know that when you're doing like manual outreach, even for shotgun skyscraper, some people will ask for payment. So my goal at the time for this site was to just not pay for any links, although I did kind of cave for like any links that I thought were special and were worth paying for. So my goal as part of the case study was just to not pay for any. And I tell you what, when I started in 2018, it was a lot easier to not pay for links using the shotgun skyscraper technique. We find that I was getting about 85%-ish free links at the time back in 2018. You can flip that on its head now. When we're doing the shotgun skyscraper technique for clients or anything, it's more like we pay for 85% of the links, and that is purely down to webmasters becoming like more educated in what a link is worth and therefore wanting some money in return for inserting your link or uploading a guest post. So I did pay for some links back then. I would have been paying for quite a few more had I been doing it today. So it was a DR0 when I started, obviously, because I hand registered this domain. It was just brand new. We'll have to work out exactly how many months, but it was about 2.5 years, and it was a DR33 by the time I ended it. I did, as I say, get about 100 links through Shotgun Skyscraper. It did get more over time, just organically as well. And the other thing I'll mention about this site is that Pinterest, I played with Pinterest for the first time with this site, and I hired a VA to post some pins for me each month. And he did that for every new blog that we created, and also kind of went round in circles a little bit and created new pins even for older blogs. So we had multiple pins for multiple blogs, and that worked really well kind of over time. I'm trying to remember that. So I think that set that graphic's a bit too small for me, but probably if you're maximizing the screen in YouTube, then you're probably fine. But I think it's about just under 10,000 page views or sessions, actually 10,000 sessions in 1 week. So I was getting close to 40,000 sessions a week just from Pinterest. This is just Pinterest traffic at the time, which was 40,000 sessions a month, which was just incredible. At this point here, Pinterest changed their algorithm completely. So for a while, I was still having the VA do the same stuff he was before, but it was clearly always trending down over time. And then in the end, we kind of just gave up in the thought of, okay, we'll eventually go back to Pinterest and try and work out what's different and what we need to do now, because clearly what we've done in the past wasn't working. But for a long period of time, we were getting some like good results with Pinterest, and it just tailed off over time. Cool. Questions so far, Adam? What do you think? Or are we good?
No, I think this is good so far. My questions are more kind of general related rather than case study related. But the Pinterest one was interesting. I think I've spoken to a couple of people who got kind of hit with the Pinterest update, and I think they're changing more stuff now. In like a couple of Facebook groups, especially around like food bloggers and stuff, and they're saying even now that things have changed and traffic has dropped off. I just wonder if do you think Pinterest could still be a viable method for when you're building a site, or going forward, do you just completely kind of ignore it now based on this experience?
I think I would go back to it because I think it probably does. I think it's just that you have to do something different. There's probably more work that needs to be done to earn a right to be a ranked pin, I imagine. A bit like ranking in Google over time has become more challenging. So, I mean, we were creating nice pins on that, but it was just simply that, creating a pin for every blog, posting it, and that's it, like pinning it up. Or putting it on some other boards, I think. We were pinning it on other boards. But that was it. And that was a strategy. Just that alone didn't really work. And I to be honest, I haven't really looked about how it's changed and what we need to do. But
I literally know nothing about
effort than before.
Nothing about Pinterest really. I've never used it, and I even as a user, I still don't quite understand it, to be honest. Question from Eleanor: how much traffic did you get from Pinterest? I zoomed in on the screenshot on the deck, and that peak there is weekly, and it was around 10,000. So it's like at its peak, probably 30 to 40,000, I guess, sessions per month. Mark, was it from Pinterest?
Yep. Yeah. So it's getting quite a lot of sessions just from Pinterest alone, which was awesome at the time. But
Carly says, oh sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well stuff was converting and what that meant for ads, but obviously, with that much traffic, it's going to help the ad revenue, right? Regardless.
Carly's got a little bit of a tip here. Feels like video or idea pins are the main traffic winners with Pinterest at the moment. I'll be honest, I don't know what a video or an idea pin is. I've literally only ever used Pinterest once, even personally, for looking up for when I was ideas for a tattoo. That was it. And even then, I thought, this is horrible. I'm just going to go and search on Google for it.
Yeah, and I guess the thing, just I guess so people understand, like the why Pinterest, why I tried Pinterest at all rather than any other social media platform, is because it's described as a visual search engine. So where if you're using something like Twitter or Facebook, it's transient. So when you post something, it's there for the moment, but it's gone tomorrow. The difference with Pinterest is people use it like a search engine. So you go in there, you can search for stuff, and your pins will rank just like pages or sites rank in Google. So you could pin something 2 years ago, and someone will put a search in on there, and your pin will rank, and then you'll get traffic through from it. So
are you optimizing the pins like you optimize a blog post? Then are you is that what the whole hack was? You optimize it with the title of the pin, and do you put a description in there, or like?
Yeah, you did put descriptions and titles in and stuff that as well. Yeah.
Great.
So yeah, that all helped, but yeah, like I said, that fell away. But yeah, so yeah, that was the good thing about it, is that the more kind of pins you put over time, the kind of more seeds you were dropping to get ranked for different terms over time.
Carly, just a quick question on that one, because it's just something that popped in my head. Feels like video idea pins. Does that mean you have to have the ability to create video, or can you use someone else's video that you found on YouTube, for example, and embed that within a pin? I don't even, like, for example, you can embed someone else's YouTube video on your blog post. Is that the same with pins, or I don't know. Maybe pop it in the chat if you do know.
Next, when we work out how to do the video stuff, we just get Carly on next time, and then that's the plan. All right, cool. So breakdown of earnings.
Let's change that so we're not cutting out half of it.
Oh no, I really can't see it. So hang on, I'll look at it on YouTube. Yeah. Let's put it back to how it was just for a sec. Oh gosh, now
let's go.
Right. Okay, so so what I had here was you can see how the traffic's kind of increasing like very slowly over time. So we've got like, first month, 128 sessions, 162, 453, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't kind of earning anything. And at the start, I just had Amazon Associates on there. And that was my income as it started off here. I don't think I even put it on for the first few months. And then around here, I added an AdSense, but that got be very little, like few pence a month, essentially. And it's only here that I started breaking it down into the different revenue streams. So the revenue streams here were this is US, Amazon Associates, UK, Canada, India, and Australia.
By the way, we can't see your cursor. Are you on the right present? I don't. When you present like that, we can't see where your cursor is on the screen.
Okay.
So when you just for a heads up.
Okay, sure. So that right-hand side, where it says US, UK, Canada, India, Australia, that's all Amazon Associates. It looks like I started Australia a little bit later. And then Mediavine was the ad platform that I was using at the time. And then kind of you got a total kind of at the end there. So the earnings kind of peaked around December time in 2020. So it was about $3,500 in that time period. You can see that, as I said before about neglecting the site, you can see the number of articles I published. And once we kind of got to August in 2020, I think that is, you can see I didn't post anything for months and months and months. I did 45 in November, then I did 85 in the May, just before I sold it in that June time frame. But yeah, if we go back to that other video like you suggested, Adam. Oh, no, not that one.
Oh, it's this one. I've got it. Stop clicking.
Yeah, I think that's not even the right one, is it? But yeah, so it doesn't even show. It shows totals at the end, right? So yeah, so 3,500. Okay, so yeah, so basically it was monetized through ads and through Amazon Associates. Okay, so what happened since the sale? Well, yeah, this is a good one actually. Let's get rid of us again out of the way. Oh, help!
Mate, it's this one. There we go. I've got it.
Right. So, I mean, the good thing about this is that I chose. It's quite a challenging niche actually, and it's probably one that I wouldn't kind of go back into again. But I was picking. There was a lot of affiliate content, and there was a lot of best of kind of content. And but there was a healthy amount of info content as well. So you can see, like, this is the point I sold it, June 21, and the new owner has been pretty aggressive about actually putting in very low competition informational content, which is something that we talk about now, Adam and I, about we do a lot more of, and you can see the effect that's had. So at the point of sale, I had 519, although 85 of those were info posts that I published like a month before I sold it. So I probably didn't see the full benefit of those. But then he's been posting like 30, 40 a month since then. So now we're up to 833 posts, but you can see how the traffic has kind of turned hugely, which is a relief, because when you sell a site, you really don't want it to die within like a month of you selling it. So I'm really pleased that's kind of gone like that. But also makes me I wish I'd kept it and just targeted some low competition info content myself, because it seems to have done quite well since.
Quick question on that one. If we go back to that slide, just my buying and selling brain is coming out. Did you manage to kind of negotiate any kind of price change or increase in price, because you just put 85 posts on there that were only a month old, and you could have kind of explained that?
No, I didn't. I didn't know what the impact of that was going to be. It was a bit difficult, but yeah.
I just wondered if it had if it was even part of the discussion. I would have definitely put that as part of the discussion if I was selling the site, I think.
Yeah. I didn't. I didn't really have an intention right then. Otherwise, I wouldn't have like a distinct intention to sell. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put 85 posts on a month before I was going to sell, probably. But
that feeds into one of my questions earlier, was like, how did you decide to sell this, or why did you decide to sell the site? And then, if you weren't thinking about selling it, how did the sale even come about?
It came about because I just had enough of it. It was like that OG case study. You could see that I neglected it for a while with those things. I just fell out of love with it. Really, I didn't really want to. I didn't fancy carrying it on anymore. So, and I had other sites that were doing well. I just wanted to focus more of my attention on that, and so I just felt like it's just for that. Really, that was the right time.
Did you put it up for sale? I can't remember even. Did you put this one up? Did you put it up for sale? I can't even remember.
No, it was a private sale through one of our contacts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, yeah, I do remember.
So return on investment. So, like I say, there was a lot of time versus money, but I did spend about 16,000 on content. That was kind of a lot of reinvesting of the money the site was already making. I did spend about $1,800 on a VA, kind of over the period of time. I had them for about a year, for about $150 a month, and they would just post a few things a week. And that was a total of 18,774. The ad revenue and affiliate earnings, I've put it all in together because I haven't got the full breakdown of exactly how that was split apart from that last year. So that's $27,500. So the earnings is $27,000. I sold it for just under a 35x multiplier. So I put it up for 35x, which was 60,000 at the time. I think that was over the 12-month earnings, and just negotiated me down a couple of $1,000. So overall, over the lifetime of the site, it made $85,500. So that's a return on investment of 356%. So pretty modest, like nothing too spectacular. It was the earnings over 2.5 years wasn't huge, 27,500, but it's like I said,
you say that like it's nothing though. Pretty not pretty spectacular. Compared to pretty much any other asset class, to make 350% over a 3-year period is not modest at all, really. If you were a hedge fund making 356% over 3 years, you would be the best hedge fund in the world.
And that's true, yeah. That's true. If you're if that's a modest example, then your probably website investing is pretty good space to be in. But yeah, I'd say I mean it's fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. It's good, but it's just not some of those breakout case studies that we've talked about recently on the channel. So case study 2 is one I launched more recently, launched in December 2020. So it's a bit over a year old now. This one was an H domain. It was a DR13. I actually picked the niche first on this one, and then went and found a domain, and there was only one domain that would that I could find that fitted it. So I went for it. It was a failed Kickstarter project, which meant it didn't have many links, but it did have some good authority links because it was a failed Kickstarter project. It got into the news for that Kickstarter project, and therefore it got some good authority links there.
Going on that, because that leads into one of my questions. I think, and you said something interesting there, was you picked the niche first on this one. How did you pick the niche? How did you approach picking niches for sites you want to build?
I got no one particular way. Generally, it's just kind of like, often it's just going down an Ahrefs rabbit hole. So you start off looking at one thing for a niche, and then you kind of like find yourself digging your way around. I think that's what the case was with this one. And I say that I picked the niche first. Normally, you and I let the domain pick the niche for us. So we'll find a good domain at auction that we really like, and it's kind of a domain first approach. And then obviously we need the correct topical authority for the niche going forward as it was in the past, and therefore we choose the domain first, and that dictates where we go with the niche. This time I just really wanted to go into this niche and just went looking for a domain and found one. What do you mean the KS project didn't fulfill?
Or the Kickstarter project, did it work, or it didn't raise the money? Why did it fail?
Oh no, I think it did raise the money, and I think it failed. Then I think it failed. The product just never made it to market. I think there is a Facebook group associated. No, it's not a Facebook group, a page associated with it, where there's lots of unhappy people's comments on there about it failing and about losing their money. I think so. Yeah.
Did that put you off? Did that put you off when you were looking at the domain?
A little bit, but not too much. I was a bit worried that people might think it was the resurrection of the same people.
Yeah.
I never got any. I've never got any messages or anything like that. So no, not too bad.
Okay.
So progress today, and I actually haven't put. I actually haven't put any posts on it since November last year. Well, actually, that's a lie. Just this week, some new ones went on, but before today, it was like, or before this week, it was about 400. It was no new posts since November, which is a crime. I'm not going to do that again. But I'm working on a few sites at the same time, and I've got limited writer resource, so I've been directing them at some other stuff. I'm going to bring them back now and probably just increase my writer resource instead of shifting people off this project, because this one's going really well. So the content's all info. Monetization is via Zoic only. There are other monetization strategies that I could exploit. With the niche, it's not massive in that perspective. There's not loads of products that I could kind of look to create affiliate for and things, but there's definitely other ways that I could monetize it. But I just haven't got around to it yet, and I should, and I would, and I will eventually. But in the meantime, I'm building an audience, a Facebook group, and also building like an email mailing list. So we spoke about it on Tuesday's stream, I think, where I create a
banner.
A banner. That's right. Thank you. A banner with a button on it to join the Facebook group. So anybody coming to the page, they can go ahead and sit and join the Facebook group. Once they join the Facebook group, they get asked if they would like to get any updates, and they provide an email address. And I use a plugin in Chrome, an extension in Chrome, which which automatically will change when you accept them as a entry into the Facebook group. It'll automatically put their email address into MailChimp, which is what I'm using at the moment just to collect email addresses. So I've been running the group 7 or 8 months, and it's got nearly 800 people in there already, and about a third of that have left them email as well. So I'm building an audience over time so that when I'm ready, I can start promoting stuff to them as time goes on. Oh gosh. So
maybe this view might be better for this one. Yeah.
Oh, actually, I can make it go full screen on my computer. I'll do that instead. So yeah, this site after 13 months peaked out at 408,000 page views. So compared to the new fresh domain that I was working on before, it's like it's seen huge growth in traffic. February's a shorter month, so it was a little bit less, and then this month is going to be around about the same number of page views. So it's, as you can see, as I said, I haven't added any new content since November, so you can see that it's flattening out now. That's why I want to get back on that. So it's quite a pretty low EPMV. I'm working on improving that, but it's really just a lot of it's down to the niche. The niche just dictates the fact that it's just never going to be a very high EPMV, but I'm trying to maximize that as much as possible. But everyone goes after niches that have a high EPMV for obvious reasons. But what I'll say here is there's more than one way you can win. You can go for low competition niches and low competition keywords and drive a lot of traffic. And then even if you've got a low EPMV, you still can generate decent revenue. So, for example, this site is now generating $4,800 a month in revenue. And for ad revenue is the first quarter of the year is the worst for ad revenue anyway. So it's generating $8,800 at the moment. That's only going to increase over time, even if I kind of did nothing, because ad revenue numbers are going to go up over time. So yeah, although it's great to find those high EPMV niches, they're probably more competitive. So you can think about it the other way around, where you can go less competitive, get more traffic, and with a lower EPMV, and still generate a very healthy income.
Did you think about this as you were picking the niche, though? Did it even cross your mind to think, I wonder what the EMVP would be in this space?
No,
you just guided by the competition to start with.
No, and we've talked about this, haven't we? We don't really know all of the factors that go into EPMV. I might as well break the news now. We're going to get Tyler Bishop from Ezoic onto the channel in a few weeks' time. And he's going to come and talk about EPMV and all of the different factors that go into EPMV. So no is the answer, and I don't think you can always tell. Like you talk about the site that you've got that's over $100 EPMV, and you never would have guessed that was going to be that. So I'm not really bothered. It's secondary to me, and I think it doesn't really matter. Like to a certain extent, you either go for a higher EPMV niche, and then you end up driving less traffic, maybe. And then you go the other way around. So I'm not too worried about it. If I think it's a niche that I can go after, then I'll do it, regardless of what I think the EPMV is going to be down the road.
So just on that point, I necessarily not 100% sure I agree with the more competitive niche equals higher MVP either. I think, or less competitive niche equals lower MVP either. I think there's still plenty of low competition niches out there which could get a high MVP. So you shouldn't think of it as kind of like they move in parallel like that.
No,
it's definitely the case sometimes, like this side, but I don't think that's the case for all.
No, and I don't. Yeah, and I think the niche that yours is in, wouldn't say it's particularly competitive,
No.
and it's got a super high EPMV. Yeah. But I think generally you can it probably falls into those categories.
I'm interested in from Tyler. Like, is the MVP based on the user that the page attracts? Is it based on the topic that the page is about? Can you? Because I bet even if you look in your Ezoic analytics here and look at it on page by page, I bet there are some pages which are getting really high MVP, but it's all about the same topic. And I'm really excited to ask him why that's the case. Why is that one page or those handful of pages getting a high MVP and it's the same topic?
Yeah, we need to we need to get him on.
Is it 14th of April he's coming on, is he? I think 14th.
It's not next week, it's the week after. Yeah.
So by the way, get your questions in for Tyler as well. If you want to ask him any other questions, or if you want questions answered about Ezoic or display ads or EMVP, you can let us know, and we're going to start making a list. And he's got an hour, and we're just going to batter him with questions, basically.
Yeah. Cool. So anyway, this is just showing that the EPV is pretty low. This is just the last 30 days, I think, or the last month. Yeah, last 30 days. So it hovers around this. I would expect that to go up as the year goes on into the next quarters. But I don't know about anybody else, but I found that it's gone up a little bit lately. So I've been hitting 17 on some days, whereas normally I've been averaging around 12, 13. When
you said low, I assumed it would be lower than this. I don't think this is particularly low, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't think low compared to 150 or whatever.
Yeah, but that's an anomaly, right? Like I think most of my sites are in the $15 to $25 range. Really, this is there pretty much. I wouldn't say this is particularly low.
It's not crazy low. It's like 12, 13 is normal, but it's gone up. It's gone up the last couple of days. Have you found that in your sites? Was it? I'm not sure. Yeah, mine seems to have gone up recently. It's just in the last week. Okay, so just a word on EPMV then. Like I mentioned, like it's the latter quarter, the last quarter of the year, which is the best for ad revenue. So these peaks that you can see here is Good Friday. Oh, sorry, not Good Friday, Black Friday. So these peaks are always kind of Black Friday. But historically, ad revenue used to be considered like the poor second cousin to some other kind of revenue stream, and you just add them on as a secondary thought, as a little bit extra. These days, you can consider, using ads, and it generates a healthy revenue stream in its own right. As I showed with this site, 4,800 a month. If you take a look at the start of this year, like how it's dipped down there. If we scroll all the way across and go to 2017, that was actually the peak Black Friday level for the start of this year. So you can see that it's and this dip here is COVID, start of COVID, so it took a dip, and then it's just, you can almost see that it's actually accelerated since then, since more people have been focusing on online marketing and advertising. So it's just accelerated and going up, and that's much higher than it's ever been for last Black Friday. So ad revenue is just becoming more and more viable.
My EPMV, by the way, hasn't gone up like that. But the average for the year to date so far is 28 across all my sites. So
Okay.
yeah,
Including the anomaly, because that'll
yeah. So let
yeah.
me just have a look at like my animal.
The anomaly will, if you were doing it without the anomaly, that average is probably lower.
Yeah, so like the animal site that I talk about quite often, the average for the year so far is 1538. If I look at one in like the tech space is 38. So that one's quite a bit different. And then that other one was, I don't know what that is this year. Yeah, 138 so far this year. So that skews the results quite a bit.
Yeah. So I mean, so it is a bit low. Mine, being at 12, 13.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
You're being too harsh on yourself. Being too harsh on yourself, man.
Oh no, it's not too low. I mean, I know some people have talked about $1-2 EPMs, so I'm not too sad with that.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is kind of the how it's looking so far. So the domain cost me as an H domain 2,480, which is more than you would expect normally to pay for a DR13. Was it that I said? However, we've often talked about on this channel about how we think domains are undervalued and they're worth way more than the price they sell for generally. So I was happy to pay that. And the choice I had was either start from scratch and use a fresh domain, which I didn't really want to do, or pay for a more expensive domain. And yeah, it's definitely the right decision, as you can see probably from the rest of the slide. This should say site purchase, not sire purchase. I haven't purchased a noble person or anything, but site purchase. So I didn't mention this actually. So I did early on in this when I started this site. A site just came up for sale in the niche website Flippers Facebook group for $1,500. It had no revenue streams. It was just a blog, but it had 25 posts and it was getting 7,000 visitors a month, which was great numbers for just 25 posts. It was a year old, and that just cemented my thoughts about the niche being a good niche because it was a DR0 as well. It had nothing. There was no authority, no backlinks. But I purchased the site just for the content really and redirected 301 everything in. The site did noticeably increase in traffic after that point, obviously because those 7,000 visitors are going in. But even further, it seemed to push it on. But it could have just been a timing thing. It just all happened at the same time. But I don't know. With this site, all the content is outsourced, and I outsourced it to the team at Niche Website Builders. So spent $31,500 with Niche Website Builders for a total of $36,480. So there's other things in here like hosting, which is small. There's things like Ahrefs, but I split that over multiple sites, so it's minimal when you could average, split it over multiple sites. So there are some other bits and pieces in there, but nothing that has a massive effect. So the Yozoic earnings to date is 28,000, just over. And the March earnings will be. I've estimated the last day because it's the last day today. So we've got 30 days. I just estimated what the last day is going to be for about $4,800 in March earnings. So put a valuation on that about 40x, and I guess that's the difference from when I sold my site before. The multiples have gone up a bit. 40x is probably conservative as well. The reason I put is conservative as well is that obviously that March valuation is based on a month in the first quarter, as I showed in the previous graph. Like I would expect, like the ad revenue to go up with the EPMV, like over time over the course of the year. So that's based on March. That's why I put a conservative valuation of $193,000. So if you take the revenue plus the site valuation, comes to 221. The spend has been 36. So that's a return on investment of 500% at the moment after 16 or so months. Obviously, that's going to go up every single month I hold the site now because I haven't sold the site yet. So every month I'm adding about $5,000 onto this number, which means that'll be something like 425% come the end of April and just keep going up. So that return on investment.
Well, you haven't sold the site yet, although I am working on you to convince you to sell it to me, right?
You have been. You have been. And the answer is still no. Awesome. Just really quickly, like new versus aged, like we talk about all the time about how traffic can, increase more quickly with an age domain versus a new domain. I haven't got access to Google Analytics at the moment, so I've got one of my graphs that I used for the case study. But you can probably see here that in the first, so started in the November, you can see hardly any traffic. This is the sandbox period we always talk about. So if you're new, like you can expect this, like you can expect to not see anything, and it feels like you're working into a black hole for many, many months. And if you look at it, even took 5-6 months before I started showing some traffic, and even then it was pretty low. This this number, it's the bars that on here.
You can't see your mouse, by the way. So you have to explain kind of what you're looking at.
Yeah. So all I'm just explaining is the bars at the start are just like very low. They're kind of non-existent.
And the bar graph, is it at the bottom?
Yeah, at the bottom, the bar graph at the bottom, yeah. So, there's a number of sessions are on the left-hand side there. So it actually took, a year before it broke through the 10,000 sessions number, but actually it went almost straight to 20,000 sessions. And that's just, I've noticed several times when you get to a year, you kind of see like a second sandbox kind of jump. Like we always talk about 6 months-ish being the first one. I've seen this a number of times now, where after a year you kind of see another bump, another jump, and this kind of jump from. So it took me a year to get to 10,000 sessions, I guess is what I'm saying. If we look up on the top left picture, now that's 4 months old, and we're at 18,000 page views. The reason we don't. So what I'd say is that you can see it's got 0, 0, 0 in the months before that. That's because I set it up with GA2, thinking I'll be able to get my head around it, and decided that I wasn't going to do that. And now we're switch back to Universal. Sorry? GA4. Sorry, GA4, yeah. And then switch back to Universal Analytics because I couldn't get used to it. So that's why it's got no data for the first few months. So the first full month was April, where I was at 18,000 page views. And after a year, the top right picture was at 330,000 page views. So that's with our age domain. I'm not saying, disclaimer again, we don't always get these same results, but that's kind of what I got with an age domain. And you can expect that time to those numbers to be much higher. It might take much longer. And the graph down the bottom doesn't show the full period, only shows up to April. So what's that, 16 months or so? But then it was over 50,000 sessions. So it got there in the end, but it just takes a lot longer for that to happen.
Just to clarify then, the top two graphs are from the age domain, and then the bottom one is from the OG site, right?
Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, the top two are the age domain. The bottom one is the OG site. Yes. So to answer the question directly that is posed at the start of this presentation, is building sites profitable? Absolutely. I would say so from my experience and what I've done there. That's it.
That was awesome.
Cool. Any questions here? Let's have a look.
I've got some questions to ask.
Oh yeah.
So the first one is, like you mentioned that the first site, it sounded like that was predominantly the only one you were working on really at the time. You might have had others, but that was your main focus. But this time around, obviously with more resources and stuff, it sounds like you're working on obviously more than one site. Do you recommend that for people starting? Do you recommend they start with one site, or are they going to start with 3 or 4 and try and split the time and effort?
No. So definitely working on one site at a time. If you're starting out, because if you try and spread yourself too thin, none of them are going to get there. You need to invest everything you've got. And I mean, everything you've got. You spend every moment of every day working on your site, because it's going to be hard. The first one is hard. The first one is long. But once you get there and you start earning money and you can kind of reinvest, start outsourcing stuff, and then you can reinvest some of that money into starting new sites and things, that's when it's good. So you do want to diversify eventually, so you're not relying on one site, and because Big G might come along and do something to that site one day. But so you can spread it out, but absolutely make a decent success out of your first one first before splitting your time onto others. Yeah, for sure. That is if you try and do 5 sites at once, you're going to fail. Basically, I can pretty much guarantee that, unless you've got a lot of money to invest. So we do have customers that have money to invest and they want to start multiple sites at a time, and that's fine. If you're starting out and you're bootstrapping it, don't do more than one site. Just start with one. That
makes sense, and leads me kind of nicely into my next question, because I think we see this quite a lot across the space of people starting out, getting 6-7 months in, and then saying this doesn't work or quitting. And we could clearly see on your OG graph there that, like you say, the first year you didn't break 10,000, and then very quickly you got to 40,000 within 2 months later or whatever. I think a lot of people stop before they hit that growth kind of curve. How do you personally stay motivated and keep going? It's different now because you know how it works. But when you first start now, do you remember how you kind of kept yourself motivated and doing all that work? And
yeah, I mean, first time out, it's really hard. Like I'm fine with it now. Like I know the process. I know I just got to keep working at it, and I start multiple sites at a time. Because I know, and I believe that it will come good, and I know in the process. But at a time, it's really hard. But it's working. It's being in the community and talking to people in the Facebook group, listening to it was people like us now, but like it was people like other people on YouTube at the time, and like people you know and trust, and just asking lots of questions in the group and getting involved. I think just hearing the stories, the case studies, and the people doing it, and you see it all the time if you join our Facebook groups. They're like people have got to their first like $100 or whatever after 12 months, and they're like pumped, and and then you know that it's getting to the second $200 is way easier than it was to get to the first $100, and you really build some momentum like that. And I think it was just reading, following, and being part of that community that really helped me keep going first time around.
Yeah. All right. Well, last question for me then, because this is something else I also see people in mainly like groups talking about is what theme should I pick? What design should I go with? When you were setting up sites now, like there's obviously going to be core things you focus on. Do you care about the design or the theme or the about us page? Like, what are the core things you want to get right off the bat, and the other stuff you're like, I'll fix later?
I just use a standard theme really, and I do tweak it a little bit depending on the site. This one in particular, it's like more of like a glossary in a way. So I kind of have like categories which are alphabet of a search. So you can search like things under the letter M, for example, and you use your list. So I customize it a bit, but I just use like generic press pretty much out of the box for most of my sites. Did you set that up
from the start, by the way? Did you have that from the start, or did you like post a load of content and then? What I'm trying to get is like out of the box, bare bones when you started, and did you worry about pushing out content as quickly as you can, or were you worried about making that glossary kind of design?
Oh, yeah, but I mean that took me. Yeah, I mean I think I just started posting stuff and then did it shortly up, but very shortly after. But it was only like 2 or 3 hours work. It wasn't really like loads.
Yeah,
mostly out the box. Yeah.
Okay. Some questions from people here. Wayne says, from the first domain, did they add any more 301 redirects to give it more of a boost? I'm assuming this is from the age domain type mark.
Yeah. So no, I bought that one site, and I did one-to-one redirect all of the articles that I transferred over, and then redirected the homepage, but it had no links to it. It was a DR 0.2. I had like one link or something of any value. Like, there was nothing there. So I didn't get any boost from the backlink profile for sure, because there was none.
Were you buying it mainly for the content then, and the 7,000 visitors a month he was driving?
And I think and I think the potentially the relevance as well that had already been built up with Google somewhat. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much that has an impact, but yeah, it was partly for the content. It was like, yeah, it's an instant 7,000 visitors a month, like overnight. So I'll take it.
Yeah. Awesome. Another question: which one is better, competitive or low keywords? I'm assuming this means low competition keywords.
Yeah, it depends on your budget, right? So we recommend, like most people that are starting out, and for most occasions, you want to go for low competition, but competitive keywords are competitive for a reason, probably because they pay out really well. So if you've got a really good big budget and you want to go after competitive stuff, then you can spend that budget going after that competitive stuff and maybe reap the rewards down the road. But you can't go into it blind. Like if you want to go into like seriously hard niche, if you wanted to go into like VPNs or hosting or something like that, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars of investment to kind of get there if you're starting from scratch. So don't take it lightly. It depends on your investment and your ambition. there's definitely niches you can go after. We found that there are more competitive niches you can go after, but you go after the low competition keywords within those niches and start out and then build slowly from there. So yeah, I hope that kind of answers the question.
Awesome. How long should before EMVP levels out after adding Ezoic? Okay, so how long after you've added Ezoic should the EMVP levels?
I think it takes like three or four months to really to have learned your site and start getting stuff. Before I think it's generally 3 or 4 months before it kind of starts leveling out a bit. It does start off pretty painful first month.
Cool. Yeah.
Should we do the questions from that were done in advance? We get those done.
Well, we've got a couple in here. This one's from Rick, and it's kind of like a two-parter. So the first one is, when flipping websites, what are the preferred platforms for transactions? Are some better for the buyer or seller? And then does the price figure into this choice? So I think we covered this on our video last week on the flipping one. Yeah, literally covered the different marketplaces and the fees and the pros and cons of each. So yeah, go and have a look at that video. It's on our YouTube channel. Kind of cover
last Thursday. Yeah,
last Thursday. We've also got another one from Shad. Is how do you fix a site with bad backlinks?
Well, so I mean, the way that we do it is there's a chap that we work with called Rick. Also Rick, not Rick Zulo. Rick, and I forgot
Rick Lomas.
Lomas. Lomas. So yeah, we can put you in touch with Rick if you have this problem, where he'll go and do a detox basically on your website, get them all disavow all the bad ones, and hopefully from there you can kind of work from rebuilding any impact that you've had from having those bad backlink profile. I mean, you can go and disavow yourself if you want, if you're on a budget as well. You just need to be pretty brutal about only keeping in the good ones.
That's hard though. That's hard because it's subjective. What we think is a good backlink or a bad backlink is not necessarily what Google thinks. That's really hard.
Well, we've covered on the channel before, like how we determine the criteria for a good and a bad backlink. You could follow that and do something along those lines. Depends how many you're looking at. If you're talking about 10, 15, if you're talking about hundreds, then you might want to just get Rick to do it. Rick Lomas. So yeah.
Well, let's do one more question, and then let's do the draw because.
Before that, then we better tell people if you want to get into the draw, you better type something in, type a comment into the chat now. Anything you like, it doesn't matter what it is. Then that's just the way the YouTube works, so that I can copy your name out and put you into the draw. So you've got to do it within the next 2 minutes, regardless if you've commented earlier. So get going.
Check that out. We've gone up 1.91 as well. This is the other question, which we can have a little look at while people are commenting. Do you guys do one-on-one because I need help with my second site? We don't tend to do one-on-one. We do offer a lot of help to people. We kind of do one-on-ones in a way that once we're selling services, it tends not to me, Adam, or myself so much these days. But we don't offer consultancy services at this time. But I think if you were to private message me or Adam on Facebook to take a look at your site, I'm sure that we'd be happy to take 10, 15 minutes to give you some advice. Yeah. Definitely. It depends on what we need help with. Adrian said, would love to see you cover how to build a proper acquisition page when 301. We covered the topic a little bit in our first stream, which was how to 301 redirect the domain properly. I think maybe, Adrian, you mean like how that page is structured. I put up some posts recently in our group and on Niche Pursuits group that talked about how we set up the acquisition page. And a lot of the questions were like specifically, how is that structured? Like, great call on an acquisition page, but what goes into an acquisition page? So yeah, maybe we can cover that on an episode coming up, Mark, on our Age Domain Tuesday episode of what does an acquisition page look like?
Yeah,
the purpose. Maybe even get the team to write an example one or something. I don't know. See how the workload's looking. But great, Adrian. We'll definitely look at covering that on our Age Domain Tuesday stream.
Okay, there's not many people that have typed a message in the chat today. Type your message in chat if you want to be in it. For 30 seconds.
The odds are in your favor. The odds are in your favor. What can I say?
Type something in the chat if you want to be in the draw. Oh, I should show them the merch again. Yeah, that's what we did last time, wasn't it? Showed the merch, and then suddenly everyone wanted it.
Turned into a laughing fest between me and you showing the merch.
I'm gonna do it real quick because our designer, shout out to Birdie, has actually done a few more little cheeky designs, or a few different colors, should I say? Okay. Here you go. Let me quickly share my screen. It's a vortex. There you go. Here goes. Niche Website Builders t-shirts, multiple colors, different designs, full logo, partial logo. Oh, pink.
Yes, we need the music, mate.
We got the mugs. And then we got, oh, look at all those different caps as well. Oh, yeah. We'll get up for the wheel of names. Okay. Oh, no. How do I stop sharing? Vortex. Awesome.
Right, let's get the music on and do the wheel of names. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. We get the names in there. Let's get the music on.
Shall I add the music? What are we doing? Future pop or lounge?
Do lounge. I think we've done future pop before. Let's see what it's like. Oh, yeah. Nice. All right. Here we go. Oh, I didn't do the transition, again. Oh, there isn't one. I haven't put it into this one yet. There is one, but it's just not here yet. Okay. All right. You ready for the merch draw? Here we go. Oh, let's take these Website Builders out again because they won last time. Oh.
Is it spinning? Have we hit spin?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Richard. Whee!
Richard. Well done, Richard. Hit us up on, go to Niche Website Builders website, go to the chat or to the contact form, drop us on the line, and we'll arrange for some merch.
Yeah, and maybe next week, me and Mark will get a song ready for you, Phil, if you want us to sing a song instead of the lounge music. I don't know how that's going to go, but probably not very well.
Awesome. Okay, that's it then. That's another show done. Join us next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Tuesday for H Domain Tuesday. Don't ask, Adam. Don't ask.
I'm not.
And
Thursday.
I've
learned my lesson.
Thursday for part 3 of buy versus build, pros and cons of each, and when you should choose one or the other. Thanks everyone for joining again. Enjoyed it, and catch you next time.
Been a pleasure.